Welcome to the Work Placement Disclosure and Accommodation mini-series. Episode 1. What is disclosure? What exactly is disclosure? Disclosure is making your disability and/or functional limitations known to others. It can also include known accommodations that are required to remove a barrier. Just to clarify some of those terms if you're not familiar with them, functional limitation is a term often used in a workplace setting when creating accommodation plans to describe a person's capacity to perform a specific task. So, for example, lifting a maximum of 10 pounds. Accommodations are reasonable adjustments made to essential duties. We'll talk a little bit more about these in the second part of the series on accommodations. And finally, the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act describes a barrier as any obstacle that prevents a person with a disability from fully participating in all aspects of society. So this applies to physical barriers, information or technology barriers, attitudinal barriers such as stigma, and systemic barriers like policies. For example, if using the example of lifting a maximum of 10 pounds, then a task requiring that person to lift 15 to 20 pounds would be a barrier. In this next part, I'm just going to give a few basic facts that you need to know about disclosure. There's really no one right way for you to disclose a disability that works for everyone, and what has worked for one person may not necessarily work for another. Everyone chooses to disclose based on what works best specifically for them and their circumstances. You do not legally have to tell an employer that you have a disability, but there are certainly benefits to disclosing. Should you choose to disclose because you will be requesting accommodations, you only need to disclose what barrier might be preventing you from performing essential duties. For example, as a nursing student, you may request extra time to review patient lists or charts before beginning your rounds. If you're considering disclosing that you have a disability to a placement employer, there are pros and cons to disclosing at different times in the recruitment process, and we'll discuss that in the next section. That's it for this episode. If you still have questions about work placement, disclosure, and accommodation, feel free to check out any of our other 6 episodes or connect with your accessibility consultant.